Okay, now we've continued adding the moss. We've added some more dirt, and you might want to just go around and kind of with your fingers see if there's kind of like a hole in your moss. So if it's lightly covered with moss, you can kind of feel that with your fingers. But this feels pretty good, except for maybe right in here. So you just want to put a little bit more moss in that, get filled up. And what will happen if the moss is too thin, because we didn't really line it with anything else, we're counting on this moss to hold in that dirt and hold in your plant. So if it's a little thin, you're gonna, when we flip it upside down in a minute, you'll see your plant's really not gonna be held in very good. So it feels pretty good. And we've, again, added more dirt. Now the ring is down, right down here, you can see. We're above that, so what's gonna happen, we've pressed the dirt in pretty good. It's not extremely tight, but it's pretty, you have a mat that does come with the ones that you buy. If you wanted to buy them, they'd be $35 with the kit and the moss already there for you. You just have to add your soil. You could line your ring with this mat. I've just chosen to do the plastic because we have so many plastic bags around here, so we're going to try to go green here and do a little recycling. This is actually the mat that you could put on top of this. In fact, you know what? I will use this mat. It comes with, you'll notice it's a little, plastic lined on this side. So I can put this side facing up, which will then go against your house or the fence or wherever you're going to hang this. And then I'm also going to, this is just a plastic bag, or a little thing to remember is keep the lettering maybe towards the inside so you don't see that at the end. So I've got that lined with plastic too. So this is a little bit higher now than the ring. So that way, when we put this top on, which is going to be the bottom of our wreath, it just clips onto the ring. Turn it. Now when you pick this up, you're going to feel it's pretty heavy. And you're just going to push that on. The last one's a little trickier. You're just going to, I put my fingers there and just going to pull away from you, and you clip it right on. Now that's a pretty snug fit. If you don't have enough dirt in this ring, you're gonna feel a space, and then what would happen when you flip this over, your dirt is gonna settle, and that's what you don't want. So at this point, all my moss and my dirt is still right tight up against the front, and you can feel it's pretty firm. There's really no gaps in this ring. So you've got, it's ready to go for the planting. Okay, now we're going to be putting in the plants. Now I've chosen just to use one variety in this one. This is a juga. There's different forms of a juga. There's some that have almost like a chocolate colored leaf, very dark. This happens to be one, and you can see it blooms this time of year. This is the end of April, almost the 1st of May. This has a variegated leaf to it. Now these leaves will be getting bigger as the season goes on, probably twice to almost 3 times the size of this leaf. And now the flowers will be gone in about a week. What I would do is just cut the flower head off, and then you're going to be left with a really nice variegated leafed, low-growing plant that would just cover this whole thing. You won't see any moss by probably the middle or end of the summer. And it's very hardy too. It's a hardy perennial. This could be left outside. I would take it off your wall and just lay it on the ground to overwinter this. So we're just going to take, maybe I pulled, this was a clump that we dug out of the garden. Now the leaves are small right now because they're basically just kind of coming back from the winter season. There's a few, you can see some of the older leaves in here. But this is just a mat. There was actually probably weed barrier under this, so it really didn't root into the ground. It grew across through the mulch. So this is just a mat of it. I pulled it apart, and I could just demonstrate some of that, which is really easy. You're just going to kind of grab a clump of it, and you just a whole bunch of individual plants in here. Just pull, and you see that's a nice plant right there. Got a bunch of shoots ready to go, and it's got a good root system on it too. So this is a kind of an easy plant to work with. Sometimes some steppables, sedums just don't have many roots, and you've got to delicately kind of stuff them into this. So this is an easy plant with some good roots on it. And I'm just going to take that, I kind of wrapped the roots, I kind of folded them up, and twist them a little bit, and I've just made a hole. You can use it with your scissors, and I'll turn it so you can see it. And we're just going to put that in with your fingernail and just kind of squeeze a little bit, push it in, and it's pretty snug. And I've just done a few here, and we're going to continue doing it around. You don't have to do it. The wire gap is about 3 inches. If you didn't want to use as many plants, you could maybe skip that one and go to the next one. So you'd be skipping every other wire. I'm going to probably, and you also don't want to just do it on this top edge. You kind of want to scatter it maybe diagonally back and forth, a little bit on the bottom, back on the top. We'll poke a few actually on the inside of this, right on the inside here too, but probably not as many. So I'm going to continue doing that, and then we'll show you the finished product in just a minute. Alright, I've just been poking these in, kind of at a diagonal. Some on the bottom, a little bit on the top. And the moss seems pretty good. As I poke it in, it's not, I don't hit any real loose spot. If you did, you're just going to have to poke in a little bit more moss. But this whole thing's been really tight, really good. I'm just going to kind of look around, see what areas I might have missed. Looks pretty good. It looks a little funky, like shoots sticking out over. At this point, I'm going to just leave the flowers. For the plant's sake, if you came and just cut the flower off like that, then the energy is not going out to the flower. At this point, it would be going to the roots, rooting in, and causing more spikes to shoot out, more shoots. So, but for right now, we'll just leave them. And this looks pretty good. I might just add a couple more here on top. Now, like I say, this really spreads in the garden. One little clump like this would end up being this big by the end of the summer. So I'm assuming this is going to fill in really good by July or August. And one more, and I think that should do it. Put one more on the top. Just push that in and squeeze it. Good to go. So this is ready to, well, it's ready to hang out, but what you're going to do is just leave it flat on the table. This could go on the ground or for maybe a week, and what will happen, these plants will root in, the roots will kind of just tighten this whole thing up and hold the dirt in too. So that's, you don't want to just hang it before you let it root in. So leave it just flat for a couple weeks. Now this is ideal for the shade. It could go in the sun too, but because it's rooting in and we've just transplanted all these plants, leave it in the shade, and you're good to hang it up in a couple of weeks. Now I did one, I'll just show you a different